We've all heard the speeches. Just quit. You'll feel better once you stop. Your life would be perfect if only you weren't addicted. And so you believe it deep down. You accept the idea that your entire world is crumbling because of this one thing. Maybe it's the endless scroll through pornography. Maybe it's the compulsive masturbation you promised to stop after tonight. Maybe it's the drugs you swore you'd quit last month, or the alcohol that numbs you just enough to get through another day. Maybe it's the food, the gambling, the validation seeking through empty relationships. The specifics vary, but the pain is universal. We treat addiction like the root cause of all our misery. We believe that if we could just stop, everything would magically fix itself. But the truth, addiction is often not the reason you're broken. It's the bandage, the escape route, the siren song that temporarily drowns out the noise of what you're actually running from. You don't watch porn for pleasure alone. You do it to fill the void: loneliness, self-hatred, and heal trauma. You don't get high just for fun. You do it because for a few short hours, the weight of the world disappears. So when we say, "I need to quit," what we're really saying is, "I want to stop hurting." And quitting is a beautiful first step. But don't let the world fool you into thinking that cutting off the branch removes the root. This is not a message of judgment. This is a message of understanding, and from that place, true transformation begins. In this video, we won't just talk about stopping addiction. We'll talk about why you started. We'll explore what's buried beneath the shame, the relapse cycles, and the guilt. Because real healing isn't just about quitting. It's about learning to live without needing the thing you once believed was keeping you alive. Welcome to InnerVerse. Let's dig deeper. We need to start telling the truth even if it's hard to swallow. You didn't become addicted because you were weak. You became addicted because something in your life was unbearable. And you found something that offered relief. A momentary silence. A sweet pause. Something that told your nervous system, you can rest now. It didn't matter what it was: masturbation, porn, weed, pills, alcohol, sugar, or validation from strangers online. The point wasn't the habit. The point was the numbing. You reached for something that made the ache inside feel less loud. And yet, society told you this was your personal failure, that you were the broken one, that you lacked discipline, self-control, willpower. But here's the truth. You weren't just chasing pleasure. You were running from pain. And when the world refuses to talk about that pain, your loneliness, your fear of abandonment, the trauma you never processed, then it becomes easier to label you an addict than to ask, why did they need that escape so badly in the first place? So no, the addiction isn't the enemy. It's a messenger. It's saying, something hurts, something is unhealed, something is crying for your attention. And until you listen to that cry, you'll keep fighting the symptom while the real wound grows deeper, quieter, and more invisible. Every addictive behavior has a shadow. It's not just the act, it's the meaning behind it. You don't just open that site to watch strangers. You open it because deep down, you crave intimacy. You crave being seen, being desired, being wanted, even if only for a fleeting, pixelated second. You don't just take the pill to get high. You take it because sobriety feels like staring into a mirror that reflects every crack in your soul. And when you binge eat, you're not just satisfying hunger. You're trying to fill an emptiness that was never about food in the first place. See, addiction is clever. It knows how to disguise itself. It whispers, "This is just a little habit." But underneath, there's grief, there's rejection, there's that one memory from when you were 12 that you never told anyone about. There's a childhood filled with emotional starvation. There's a deep fear that you are not lovable without your coping mechanism. And when we only focus on quitting the act, we risk ignoring the soul beneath it. This is why some people quit one addiction only to replace it with another, because the shadow wasn't healed. It was just relocated. So the question isn't, how do I stop? The real question is, what part of me is still hurting so much that it needs this to survive? You quit, you white-knuckled through a few days. You deleted the apps, dumped the stash, stayed busy, and for a moment, you felt powerful, like maybe you had won. But then, life hits, a lonely night, an argument, a wave of shame, a haunting memory, and just like that your hand reaches back to the thing you promised you'd never touch again. And you ask yourself, why do I keep going back? What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You've just been sold the lie of instant healing. This idea that if you quit something, your life magically becomes better, that the fog lifts, that self-love rains down like a miracle. But quitting doesn't cure the core. Quitting removes the cover. It exposes everything the addiction was hiding: your raw nerves, your unresolved grief, the identity crisis you've been postponing for years. So, when you relapse, it's not failure, it's feedback. It's your soul saying, there's still more work to do. Go deeper. Healing isn't a before and after photo. It's a lifelong process of becoming someone who doesn't need to escape from themselves anymore. So, if you've relapsed, hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are unfinished. And there is no shame in that. There comes a moment when you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. Not because you look different, but because you've become a stranger to your own soul. You ask yourself, who am I without this addiction? You've built routines around it, scheduled your days to protect it. You've made it your secret friend, your punishment, your medicine, your escape. So when you try to let it go, you're not just quitting a habit. You're confronting the void it leaves behind. And that void is terrifying. It's filled with memories you've buried, questions you've avoided, parts of yourself you haven't met yet. This is why healing feels like war. Because you're not just fighting urges. You're fighting the version of yourself that needed this addiction to feel safe. There is grief in letting go. Grief for the years lost, for the relationships damaged, for the parts of you that felt unloved and abandoned. But inside that grief is growth. Inside that pain is your permission to finally evolve. Because the war in the mirror isn't about choosing between addiction and discipline. It's about choosing between who you've been and who you're finally ready to become. We like to think we're in control, don't we? We tell ourselves that we choose to reach for that cigarette, that drink, that fix. We say, it's just one more time. I've got this. But here's the bitter truth. The moment you start relying on something outside of yourself for peace, control, or comfort, you've lost control in the deepest way possible. Control isn't about willpower. It's about self-awareness. The addict in you isn't just weak. It's unseen. It's the part of you that hasn't been nurtured. The part that feels small and unseen in the chaos of life. So, we reach for the fix not because we don't know better, but because we were never taught how to manage the emotions, the pain, or the loneliness that comes with being human. We chase after control, hoping the next hit will give us clarity, relief, or an escape from the overwhelming flood of thoughts and feelings. But real control isn't about what you do. It's about how you feel inside, and whether you can hold space for the discomfort without running away from it. You don't control your impulses by silencing them. You control them by understanding them. And that's where the real battle lies. Learning to sit with yourself, even when you don't have the answers. To face the discomfort head-on, without pretending it doesn't exist. Only then can you reclaim the control that addiction has stolen from you. It's easy to feel like you're broken when addiction is in your life. It's easy to feel like you're missing something. Like there's a part of you that can't be fixed. You hear the whispers. You'll always be an addict. You'll never be enough. You'll never truly be free. But here's what you need to know. The healing is already inside you. You just haven't found it yet. You just don't know where to look. You've been conditioned to believe that healing is something that happens outside of you. Maybe you're waiting for the right person to show up, for the perfect therapy, for the magic pill to make everything feel better. But here's the truth. Healing doesn't come from anyone else. Healing comes from you being willing to look inward. Healing is about sitting with the parts of you that hurt the most. It's about facing your fears, your doubts, your shame and forgiving yourself for needing a crutch to get through life. It's about learning to accept the person in the mirror, flaws and all. It's about understanding that no one is without scars. And those scars, they're proof of your survival. They're proof that you've endured. The truth is, you can only heal when you stop hiding from your pain. You can only heal when you stop labeling yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as someone who is still becoming. Healing is a journey, not a destination. And it begins with the simple, powerful act of believing that you are worthy of it. You've spent so long hiding. You've kept the parts of yourself locked away, afraid that if anyone saw them, they'd see weakness, afraid that they would judge you, pity you, or even reject you. But here's the thing no one tells you about vulnerability. It's not a weakness. It's your greatest strength. Addiction thrives in the darkness, in the places we keep hidden, in the secrets we bury deep within ourselves. The more you hide, the more it has power over you. But when you finally open up, when you allow yourself to be seen for who you truly are, the broken, messy, beautiful person who's just trying to find their way, that's when real transformation begins. Vulnerability is the bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. It's the place where the walls come down, where the masks are stripped away, and where you begin to connect with others and yourself on a level that's raw, real, and authentic. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you give others permission to do the same. You show them that it's okay to not have it all figured out. You show them that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. And in that space, healing becomes possible. It's not about being invulnerable. It's about allowing yourself to feel, to hurt, to experience the depths of your human experience without running away. Because healing begins when you stop pretending to be something you're not. The worst addiction we carry is often the one that no one sees. It's the addiction to our own self-judgment. We beat ourselves up over every mistake, every misstep, every failure. We tell ourselves that we'll never be good enough. We condemn ourselves for the things we can't change, for the mistakes we've made, for the times we've fallen short. We replay the past over and over again, punishing ourselves for choices that can never be undone. But here's the truth. You are not your mistakes. Those things you regret, they don't define you. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the person who is willing to rise up again, to keep going, to learn, to grow, to heal. Self-judgment keeps you trapped in a cycle of guilt and shame, preventing you from moving forward. It makes you believe that the only way to earn love, to earn forgiveness, is by punishing yourself. But real healing comes when you let go of the judgment, when you forgive yourself for being human, when you stop carrying the weight of the past and start embracing the possibility of the future. You have permission to make mistakes. You have permission to be flawed. You have permission to heal. So let go of the chains of self-judgment. Stop punishing yourself for things that are long past and start living in the truth that you are worthy of love, growth, and change just as you are. Somewhere along the way, we were sold a lie, a dangerous myth that once you eliminate your addiction, whether it's drugs, alcohol, masturbation, gambling, or even toxic patterns, life magically aligns, that the sun will shine a little brighter, the days will feel a little lighter, and the version of you that emerges will be clean, clear, and complete. But the truth, quitting an addiction is not the end of a story. It's the painful, messy beginning. You may stop using, but your loneliness remains. You may stop watching porn, but your self-worth is still bruised. You may stop drinking, but your memories still haunt you at night. Addiction was never the root. It was the mask, the coping, the crutch. And once it's gone, you come face to face with everything you were trying so desperately to avoid. You see, recovery is not about being fixed. It's about becoming whole. It's about sitting with your sadness instead of running from it. It's about facing your childhood trauma instead of drowning it out. It's about rebuilding trust with yourself day by day, decision by decision. The goal is not to return to some ideal version of life. The goal is to build a new one from scratch, one that's honest and sustainable. And that takes time, patience, self-compassion. There is no magical after. There's just you unfolding, one moment at a time. Here's the hardest part that no one warns you about. Discovering who you are without the escape. When the high wears off, when the screen goes black, when the bottle is empty, what's left? Who are you when you're no longer medicating your pain? Who are you when you face your reflection sober? What remains when the fog lifts and you finally sit in the silence? At first, it's terrifying. The emptiness, the awkward stillness, the sudden vulnerability of being fully awake in your body. You might feel like a stranger to yourself, fumbling in a foreign world of raw feelings and sharp edges. But here's the beauty in it. That emptiness, it's actually space. Space to be filled with something real. For the first time, you can hear the true sound of your own voice. Not the one molded by shame, or silenced by substances, or lost in fantasies, but the one that has always been there, whispering. You were never broken, just buried. In this clarity, you begin to rediscover not just what you want but who you've always been. The laughter that isn't forced, the peace that isn't borrowed, the love that doesn't require numbing. This is the version of you addiction tried to silence. And now, it's time for that version to speak. Addiction doesn't only live in substances or habits, it lives in your surroundings. You might think willpower is enough, but the human brain is wired for patterns, for comfort, for cues. The smell of a room, the time of day, the ringtone that reminds you of a toxic person, the hidden link you keep in your browser. All of it whispers your name like a ghost you thought you buried. So, if you want to stay clean, if you want to stay present, if you want to stay alive in your truth, you must redesign your world. Start with your space. Remove the triggers. Rearrange your room. Clean the places where you used to hide your vices. Make it feel new, even if it's the same four walls. Next, your people. Hard truth. You may have to love some people from a distance. If someone enables your addiction through guilt, denial, or shared self-destruction, they are not your safe space. You cannot heal in the same environment where you got sick. Then comes your rituals. Replace the time you use to numb with time that helps you feel. Read, walk, write, cry, call someone who sees you. Build rituals that remind your body that life doesn't need sedation to be worth living. This isn't about avoiding temptation. It's about choosing to build a life that makes escape unnecessary. Avoiding addiction isn't about being constantly motivated. It's about being disciplined even when you're not. There will be days you'll want to give in. When you feel hollow. When your emotions scream louder than your logic, when the past knocks on your door with soft, seductive lies. On those days, desire will feel stronger than your purpose. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline is brushing your teeth even when you're too depressed to care. Discipline is turning off your phone when you're tempted to scroll to that dark corner. Discipline is getting out of bed, lacing your shoes, and walking outside even if it's just to the end of the street. Discipline is doing what is right even when it isn't easy. It's not glamorous. No one will clap for you, but your future self will thank you quietly, powerfully, every single day. And here's a truth most people won't tell you. You will slip up, you will fall back sometimes, but that does not erase your progress. Relapse is not failure, it's feedback. Learn, adjust, forgive yourself, then stand back up. Recovery is not a straight line, but every choice you make in favor of healing, no matter how small, is a declaration. I am not my addiction. I am choosing life. Addiction is never just about the substance. It's about pain, escape, emptiness. It's about trying to fix a wound with fire. And yet, in your battle with it, something deeper is happening. You are slowly becoming the version of you that no longer needs to escape. In The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, he reminds us that suffering thrives in resistance. When we stop resisting what we feel and start observing it, we strip addiction of its power. Tolle teaches that presence, the simple act of sitting in this moment, fully is more healing than any coping mechanism we've learned to lean on. In Atomic Habits by James Clear, we learn that identity precedes action. Don't just say, "I'm trying to quit." Say, "I'm not that person anymore." Because the more you align your actions with your desired identity, the easier it becomes to detach from destructive behaviors. And from In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Dr. Gabor Mate, we understand that addiction isn't a choice. It's an adaptation, an attempt to survive the unbearable. But healing begins when we stop asking, "What's wrong with you?" and start asking, "What happened to you?" If this video resonated with you, pause, reflect, share. Someone you know is quietly struggling. Maybe they need to hear this. Maybe it'll remind them that they're not alone. Maybe it'll remind you that you're not. Subscribe to InnerVerse for more raw, human, soul-deep conversations. This space isn't about perfection. It's about becoming. And always remember, your addiction may be part of your story, but it will never be the final chapter.